Okay, before we get started here, let me first of all state shout out to Engazer. This is hands down my best student next to Deja. Like those two students of mine are just wild, my mans. They are wild. I mean, I'm using a new deck to my credit. No, I'm playing. Nah, but really, I'm using a new deck, and Gazer's one of the best people to test the deck out with because this dude is so cold. So shout out to Gazer. Secondly, I apologize for my absence, but in my time of absence, I've been doing a lot of reflecting and trying to grow my channel. So, you know, guys, I'm on Twitch as well. You guys should look down in the description box down below and follow me on Twitch because I will only be on YouTube Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And every other day, I'm going to be over on Twitch streaming for you guys various different games. So if you're interested in that, go check out my Twitch. Hey, what's poppin'? It's your boy, Grandmaster Glock. Oos, my nigga. How y'all doing, man? I did this video about 4 different times, you guys. If you guys look in the Absolver only playlist, you might see deleted videos. It's because the original video that I had for this was going to be a trials run video, and YouTube kept copyright striking it, despite the fact that I'm using the free music out of the YouTube playlist that they provide to you for any creator to use without copyright. I don't get it, my nigga. So my video can stop being banned in countries. I have to sit here and do this shit with no music. And I don't even think I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna find some way to, I'm gonna get around this. Don't worry, y'all. We gonna get some music up in this bitch. So the last time that I streamed on my channel, we actually had a conversation about Absolver 2 and if it's even going to release in the first place. And I know that right now, that's kind of like a popular discussion between a lot of people who are newer to the community who think that we're gonna get something extravagant whenever it releases. I think there's a few things that maybe we should speak about before we start talking about excitement for Absolver 2. I love Absolver, bro. Like, the game is dope. You know, like, a lot of the reason why I don't play it, it's more so because of the interactions I have to have with the community more than it is the game. But as a game, it is really amazing. Now, I do think that it's fair to state before we get into anything that Slowclap started with their development company with only like 7 people, I believe. And they created the beauty that is Absolver 1. Now, obviously, they've been hiring like expeditiously, right? Like, they've been on it. They've been killing it. And so I think that Absolver 2 has a lot more promise than Absolver 1 had, because Absolver 1 had a really bad start. Its servers weren't working off the cuff, right? They promised a lot of things that have not shown up. Like, a lot of bad things happened just off the start. We never got the bow staff. They had moves they showed that never reached the game. They had parts of the map they showed that never reached the game. It was a lot of things that they were showcasing that never happened. And when we asked about it, we were given a bunch of excuses like, oh, you know, our engine could not support this and la da 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 da. And it's like, then why did you advertise it, right? So there was a lot of lies and a lot of negativity surrounding the release of Absolver, right, off the cuff. So they created this game. This game is a beautiful game. It's a masterpiece, and regardless of all the things that weren't there, regardless of, you know, all the excess that's going on in the background, people still embrace the game and people still genuinely love and support this game, right? So people want Absolver 2 and they want to know, like, you know, when is it going to come out, this, that, and the third. Well, for number one, I was told from some sources that they've already said that they were not making another Absolver title, that all the lore points to the end of the game. I'm not a really big lore nerd, so I can't really like clarify or, you know, elaborate on that, but that's what I was told from other people who are more into it than I am, right? So that's that. But we do know they're making another IP because they've come out and they said that themselves. They're making another game and we don't know what it's going to be, but they did say it's going to be another fighter, like hopefully it's anything like Absolver at all, but we don't really know what we're getting, right? So before Slowclap releases Absolver 2, I would like to add that we should do some things. So let's try to break this down to small things. Let's start with the single player element of the game. The single player element of the game is actually really dope. Like, whenever you're like really running it for the very first time, it has a lot of interest. It's this crazy world and there's a lot of dope things going on. When you're first dropped into Absolver, you don't even know where you're going. And I think that's due to a lot of bad map design. Like, for example, whenever you're in the area of Jin Meska, one of the marked ones are literally under this staircase. And that staircase for a lot of people was like really hard to find. And it's very hard to navigate because you can't even open a map as you're moving. You know, you got to go to an altar and you got to sit the altar for that to even happen, right? But they did a lot of things right with the open world though. Like, for example, the way that people can just like bypass each other, almost like the open world's like a main hub in a way. You know, you got like an X amount of people who can be there. You can cooperate with them. You can start fights with them, things like that. I think that interaction is really dope. But the way they went about handling, you know, navigating it and getting around was very hard. I think that the AI was just very easy to cheese. You know what I mean? Like, whenever you don't know how to play the game and literally you have no clue how to goal link and you have no moves in your deck, like, of course it's going to be harder then. But whenever you start growing as a player and you get further into the game, like, the difficulty is just like, it's mid tier. Like, it's not good, you know, it's not hard at all. So it has no sticking, lasting, challenging feeling. And to have no challenge within your game and no real rewards either. It makes it very hard for anybody to want to play that game over and over, which is why basically after you beat the game, your leftovers is diminished to Downfall and Combat Trials. It's no real incentive to replay the game, especially whenever the campaign is like 30 minutes. It's only long whenever you're brand new to the game because you don't know where you're going. But once you know the area, you can run the whole thing in 30 minutes. And like, yeah, I know games like Bloodborne, Dark Souls, shit like that, they have like speed runs in 30 minutes. But the thing is that those people played that game over and over and learned everything they could about it to get to that point. You can run this game in 30 minutes just playing it. And like back to what I was saying before about like rewards and progression, like there's not really a lot of reward for playing the open world. Like the most that you can get are like outfits from fighting like the same enemies over and over, or you can get like, you know, pieces of bosses after you fought them like 2-3 times. They'll give you like additional pieces if you keep fighting them again. Just things like that, which I guess is cool and all, but like, what about like something like hard, like some really difficult boss, like some boss that's just like ape shit that you got to be like super skilled? Like, I don't think there's anything on this game that's so hard to get that when people see you wearing it, they're like, damn. Like maybe in the beginning of the game, the old Rizzer mask probably was popping like that, but like there's not some shit that's just like exclusive to people who are really good at the game. It's just not. It's just really like the only way you could be dope at something is if you get it first. But at the end of the day, everything gets, I think in my opinion, watered down because everyone has access to it. Which I mean, I guess isn't like a bad thing, but at the same time, it does kind of make it look bad. It makes it look like, yo, like if I got like, for example, Downfall, a lot of my boys spent a long time running Downfall, grinding it right when it dropped, right? Me included. We hit Gleam level 10 probably the same day, if not like the next day, something like that, right? We were grinding hard, right? Hit Gleam level 10, built these dope outfits, and 3 days later, everyone had it. And it was like, wow. So they can definitely take advantage of the fact that people like stuff like that. You look at games like Bloodborne and Dark Souls, they had a lot of optional bosses that opened up secret areas, secret weapons, you know, different armor sets and things like that you can only achieve from beating those people. And usually you're going to get a pretty tough challenge out of that too. So it made it really rewarding and very satisfying to wear those pieces with pride because you're like, yo, this is fire. Like I got something dope. You know what I mean? That someone has to find where I went to do this and they got to go and beat them. You know what I mean? Like that's crazy. And now you look like people see you look wearing it. They're looking at you like, yo, how you get that? You know, now you can go flex. You know, like it makes you feel good. You know, people need more of that inside the game. I also want to talk a little about the school system because I think the school system is actually a really dope idea. People rock out the same deck and, you know, the same mask, right, as a way to show their loyalty to their school, right? They become just a disciple, and that's literally it. And you just go fight in the combat trials with someone else's deck, which to me, it waters down the school system to basically training wheels. You don't know how to build your own deck? Go join someone else's school. Oh, you don't have this mask? Go join that school just for the mask. Like, just things like that. It completely waters down what the school system could do. Like, could you imagine if there was kind of like, in a way, like, you know, like limited time events, you know, they had these seasons that update and stuff like that, and they had like bosses that will only spawn in certain times, and that like it drops all this great gear and it increases the drop rate if you have your disciples with you. Something like that gives more incentive to the school system than simply just wearing the same mask and rocking the same decks. Like that's it. Like that's so whack. Like that's such a dope system that is not being taken advantage of. Which again, we know that the next game is not Absolver 2, right? Like really, it's not Absolver 2. I completely get that. But I'm saying we don't really know what they're going to do next. And if they add anything similar to what they're doing in Absolver 1, they could just transfer these same ideas over, same impact, right? So this is kind of like a few ideas that I have for the single player, you know, and just to sum it up, you know, let's not advertise things that we know are not going to be in the games. Try to be realistic about it in the future. Add more incentive to do the things that it has to offer. Long story short, you know what I mean? Just add more for us to be able to do, and so we're not just being the game and that's just it. You know what I mean? Now for the multiplayer, in my opinion, for the next IP, I just think that there's not really a lot to say because I think the multiplayer was actually fine for the most part. It's just the issue is like things like netcode. We cannot have peer-to-peer servers. I don't care. Your next game, please take that shit the fuck out. Don't put peer-to-peer servers, please. Peer-to-peer servers has literally caused people to use their hotspot just because they know that it's going to cheese the game. That should never be a thing. Like, people know it's going to cheese the game, right? I think the leaderboards, there should be something more influence with their next game. If it's going to be anything at the school challenges and Absolver, then they need to have a leaderboard that's a more accurate reflection of somebody's play skill and, you know, make it more worthwhile. Because my thing is that people in this whole sniping their friends thing and boosting and like quitting out on games just so they can fight noobs and stuff is hurting everybody else who are genuine grinders and really trying to reach the top. So people like Anderson Kalunga, or the other guy whose name I completely forgot, but he's on the top of the leaderboard right now for PlayStation 4. These people, they'll quit on high level players, or they'll go get their friends and queue up, or they'll just like beat up on a bunch of noobs, you know, and they'll just do it like that. I think that if people are going to participate in school challenges, I think that they should only be able to fight people who are also participating in school challenges. You should not be able to match up with people who are not participating in school challenges. And not only that, but I also believe that if you back out of a game, you should lose a point. I think that that's fair. You quit, you left. There should be no reason that you are like fine and without penalty. That should not be a thing. And that would help the leaderboards. I mean, like, at the end of the day, there is no real way to fix leaderboard. There's always going to be an exploit, but at least it will mitigate it, right? I also think for future references, the frame data should be something that is more accurately depicted, because through testing from high level players, we realized that a lot of the frame data in the game is actually very flawed and is not true at all. And that, you know, some of these moves should be more balanced. Like, these 12 frame moves are problems, dude. These 10 frames, this ability to spam things over and over and get so far compared to strategy. I think that people should be rewarded for effectively playing the game, properly utilizing its mechanics, and not for just doing random shit and just getting so fucking far with it. I know that exists in every single fighter. Trust me, I completely understand. Like, I lose all the time to people in Tekken who are just doing just the most bizarre shit, right? Like, what I'm saying is that Absolver did it in a way where the bullshit was like front and center. So I think that some move balancing should be necessary. There should be no reason that 12 frame moves are giving you the same block advantage as 24 frame moves. That's just ludicrous, in my opinion. That there should be no reason for that. There should be no reason that, like, just so much stuff is broken with the frame data that it needs to be balanced, it needs to be fixed. And in the next IP, we should ensure that we focus on that and having a more accurate way of showing these moves, because your front kick being 18 frames as opposed to the 20 that's advertised is just not, that's not the wave. Make sure that you're also updating your classes and showing these classes some love, because the way that some of these classes are just like put down is ridiculous. Like, I know that, like, you know, there's a conversation that me and Curly had. He kind of explained how Forsaken was just like OP back in the day. And given his description of it, like, yeah, I definitely agree. It was a very strong class and nothing should be as strong as confirming 16 on use of ability. But what I do think, though, is that some of the things such as the bugged parries, whether they're that big of a problem or not, they still exist. Phasian not really being properly constructed is very bad, the way they did it. But then Stagger being buffed to all hell and having a on-the-fly charge attack is ridiculous. Like, some of these things that you guys did, the decisions that y'all have made, and the fact that y'all have not went back to you know, fix any of these problems, or at least balance it out, no quality of life fixes or anything, really shows like how you handle your game. In my opinion, we're looking at you and we're saying to ourselves, like, yo, whenever we're on the Reddit and you have your community reaching out to you, trying to get the game to be better, asking questions like, when is this going to happen, when is that going to happen, there's no communication established. You guys just announce, hey, we're done with the game, but we're just like, wait, well, before you leave, can you at least fix the shit that you caused? And y'all just like, nah. So a quality of life patch before you guys leave next time would probably be a really good idea for the next game, because I want to see this succeed. I think that Slow Clap has the right vision. I think that what they're doing is amazing. I think that their game is phenomenal. I think that for the majority of the community is actually super dope. There are some bad people in this community. We know who they are, but for the most part, you can hop on Absolver and have a pretty good time. You know what I mean? I've enjoyed my stay here. I think it's an amazing game, and I just hope that their next IP is as free as Absolver is, because I really love the one thing that Absolver has is that there is no such thing as matchup knowledge outside of knowing the person as an individual. But you can never see somebody fighting and think like, yo, I know what that is. Like, no one plays Forsaken with a specific moveset, Windfall with a specific moveset, you know, etc. Everyone plays their own unique way. And so I hope that their next IP does not take a for honor approach and try to have matchup knowledge and characters with specific move lists and, you know, things like that. That wouldn't be a lot of fun. So I really hope that you guys continue to keep your same unique flavor and continue to produce a game that made you guys as amazing as you are. I don't really want to bash Soul Clap or make Soul Clap seem like a bad company, or even make Absolver seem like a bad game, but it is not without flaw. And I do think that it's fair that we look at these things that do exist inside the game and we try to find ways to make it better. We as a community should come together and we should be the judge of what's going on, because we are the people who are actively every day playing and supporting this game to this day. If you guys agreed with me, let me know down in the comment section below. But if there's anything that you disagree with or you want to add on to it, please do get down in the comment section below. Don't make this just a me thing. This is definitely an open discussion for everybody to have with me, right? So tell me what you guys think down below the comment section below. And if we can, hopefully this is Soul Clap. So don't forget, guys, follow me on Twitch. We're gonna be doing great things over there. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on all the social media platforms. I got content all over the place, yo. And make sure you hop in the Discord and come kick it with your boys, man. It's been your boy Glock. Hope you guys are enjoying your day. God bless y'all, and thank y'all for giving me the time today. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And take it easy, guys. God bless y'all.